Welcome back, Cosmic, Frank Costello Boys. We left it with the current scores. Eddie Xanadu's got 5 votes, Monsieur Martinet 1, Samson 1, and Liam 1. Next chapter is called The Vomit Comet. When the alarm woke me the next morning, it still felt like there was someone trying to drill into the top of my head. Florida explained it was an hangover. You get them from drinking too much alcohol. She said the best cure was a big fried breakfast. But we're not supposed to eat this morning. We're going on one of the rides. My thrill ride days are over. Liam, you've got a hangover. It's no big deal. Not if you're a grown-up. Grown-ups get them all the time. Just drink some coffee, and when you see the others, make a joke about it. Okay. And Florida, thanks. Even though it wasn't finished, there were still diggers and workmen everywhere. You could see Infinity Park was definitely going to be the world's greatest thrill ride. There were gardens and lakes and lots of half-built rides in the shapes of rockets. The entrance was a huge arch shaped with 2 rockets crossing over each other. Outside the gates were just endless beige desert and mountains. Inside everything was bright colours with trees and waterfalls. As we drove round a little caterpillar minibus thing, Dr. Drax acted as our tour guide. In Infinity Park, she said, some of the rides are not ordinary fairground rides. They can be demanding and dangerous. That's why you have to train to go on them. And that's why you have to do exactly as you're told all of the time. The insurers made us say that. Any questions? Hassan put his hand up. Can I have a proper breakfast now? No. Any more questions? What about a packet of crisps? No. Nothing. Why? Come and see. She took us inside to a kind of meadow with rockets instead of trees, like a rocket orchard. And at the far end was a plane. Looks like an ordinary plane, said Dr. Drax. Not too different than the plane that takes you on holiday. Except it doesn't have any windows. And it's not taking you on holiday. It's taking you on a parabola. Quite a few parabolas as it happens. Does anyone know why? Samson's 2 hands shot straight up. 0 gravity. Oh, Samson 2, aren't you clever? In fact, said his dad, he's officially a genius. Today, Dr. Drax went on, ignoring him, you're all going to have a little taste of how it feels to be weightless. Excited? We were. Any more questions? Can we just have a packet of crisps between us then? Asked Hassan. Hassan, Dr. Drax, the plane is officially called the Draxcom Zero Star. But the people who've been testing it have been calling it something a little bit more informative. The Vomit Comet. Oh, because most people who ride on it throw up. Ah, so no crisps. No. The outside of the Vomit Comet might look like an ordinary plane, but certainly inside doesn't. There's only one seat, a long bench with lap belts. The walls are completely covered with giant white cushions. There's nothing else in there but a big empty space. You could think of it, said Dr. Drax, as a kind of giant soft play flying area. There's a nice cuddly thought, isn't it? Sit bags are under the seats. Good luck. While we were strapping ourselves in, Florida whispered, what does she mean, weightless? Are we going to lose weight? Sort of. I started trying to explain about gravity, but then the engine started up and we were taking off. I don't mean like a normal takeoff. The comet seemed to be heading straight up in the air for ages. We had to hold on to the bench so we wouldn't slip off. We had like ringing in our ears and it was so loud I thought I'd never hear anything else again. I felt like my head was going to explode. It wasn't enjoyable. Everyone was trying not to think about what was going to happen, which was easy because Samson 2 was trying to impress Florida by describing the whole thing, how we were going to climb to some amazing height, then dive faster than we would fall if we were shot down. Max wailed, Dad, tell him to stop talking. Monsieur Martinet looked at him sternly and said, Max, there's no point trying to hide from fear. Fear will find you. You have to look fear in the eye. Hello, and keep walking by. Remember, fear is the enemy of courage. Yes, shouted Samson 2. You must understand that you feel more normal than partly because of the unusual amount of gravity acting on your pituitary gland. It's been squeezed, and therefore is pumping out more adrenaline. You should just enjoy it. Max stuttered. But, Max, snapped his dad, I insist you enjoy it. Let me off, wailed Hassan. You know, said Eddie Xanadu. NASA does rides like this in America. Only cost £2,000 each time. Next time, don't think of it as a scary example. Think it as a bargain. Florida was gripping my arm, but it didn't feel too bad. The higher we climbed, the more my ears hurt, the more I thought I've had this feeling before. Then I remembered where, and I turned to Florida and said, the log flume. She said, what? It's just like a big log flume. Remember how it takes you ages to chug to the top of the ride and then you roll over the top and... Oh yeah, said Florida, and she relaxed the grip a bit. It's like a 20,000 foot log flume. The only difference is you won't get wet at the end. She grinned at me. Thinking of it as a log flume made it feel different. Suddenly the feeling in our ears wasn't just horrible air pressure. It was excitement filling our heads like a balloon. A voice on the tannoy said, we are now approaching the crest of the curve. Please unfasten your safety belts, ready for 0G interlude. This is it, said Florida, and she let go of me completely, put her arms in the air and screamed just like on a log flume. Unlike Monsieur Martinet, who grabbed my other arm even tighter. I remind you, said the tannoy voice, that your sick bags are under your seats. Monsieur Martinet still didn't let go. He hadn't undone his seatbelt and was going for his sick bag. He was just sitting there, breathing deeply with his eyes shut. Still gripping my arm, I tried to prise his fingers off me. Then it happened. I stood up, pulling myself out of Monsieur Martinet's grip and tried to walk. The first step was longer than I expected. The second was a lot longer. And the third, I just took off. For the whole second I was flying, head down, first down the plane like Superman. But my feet kept getting upwards, so I ended up like doing a double somersault. The best I've ever done in my whole life. I said woohoo or something like that. And when I came up I was facing Florida. She jabbed me back and shouted, "Tig," and the jab sent me spinning back all right the other way. When I came up this time, I was facing Samson too. Before I even thought about it, I tigged him. He looked completely surprised and confused, like no one had ever tigged him before. I tried to swim off, because that's what it felt like, swimming in the air. But suddenly, it was all over. One of my feet touched the floor, and before I knew it, everyone was standing on the floor again. Except Monsieur Martinet, he was still trapped in his seat. Florida was whinging. Why is it called the vomit comet? No one was sick. She sounded like she thought I should do something about that. Then the voice came over the tannoy and said, "That was the first parabola. Please prepare for the second." "There's more," shouted Monsieur Martinet, and he grabbed my hand again. So it all happened again. The plane climbed, our ears hurt, Hassan said he wanted to get off, and then we all started floating again. Someone thumped me on the back and sent me somersaulting down the plane. And when my head come up, I could see Samson too, grinning at me and shouting, "Tig to you too," and he put his thumbs up. Suddenly, a voice yelled, "Stop!" And there was Mr. Martinet, still in his lap belt, but a bit floaty like a balloon on a string. The pilot had lost control, he bawled. "This is an emergency, we need help, we need..." But instead of words, a big ball of sick slipped out of his mouth and drifted down the plane like a big, tiny green planet. "Look!" yelled Florida, pointing at it as it was the most exciting thing in the world she'd ever seen. She got herself in front of it, opened her sick bag and let the vomit planet drift inside. "Back of the net," she yelled. And then we were all back on the floor again. Florida showed me the sick bag and said proudly, "I caught it." "I know. Do you want to see it?" "Not really." She also tried to show Dr. Drax when she landed. I did try to discourage it by saying, "Florida, I'm sure Dr. Drax don't want to see that." "Oh, but I do, Dr. Drax smiled. "I was watching on the monitors, and I have to say, Florida, the coordination and agility you showed when you caught Monsieur Martinet's little accent was very impressive. I think you're going to make a great taikonaut." Florida glowed a kind of radioactive pink and looked round to make sure everyone else was listening. Everyone was staring at the plane. A little girl with her hair tied back and a ribbon and her hands held stiffly at her side was trotting down the steps of the plane and onto the tarmac. We were all thinking the same thing. How did she get on there? Where was she when we were all floating around? She looked about Florida's age, but the way she stood Dr. Drax reminded me of Mrs. Sass standing on the stage at assembly, still, straight, and waiting for us all to be quiet. Ah, said Dr. Drax. I'd like you to meet my daughter, Shenzhan. She was piloting the plane today. Eddie Xanadu said, surely you're teasing again. Not at all. This, said Dr. Drax, is what Infinity Park is all about. Giving children the chance to show what they can do. Although Shenzhan is only 13. 13! Shrieked Monsieur Martinet. She's an excellent pilot. Everybody gasped. Shenzhan said, Infinity Park believes in young people. This is why I started training as a jet pilot when I was only 9 years old. Astronauts for the future must be young so that mankind will be able to make longer journeys. I am the future. You could see that Dr. Drax was enjoying how amazed we all were. She said, any questions? Florida said, that's a lovely boiler suit. I like the details on the pockets. Will we be getting ones like that? Possibly. They look very astronauty. I'd love one. Any questions that are not about clothing? Snapped Dr. Drax. This is very inspiring, said Samson 1. Samson 2 could do things many adults cannot do. And when he was only 13, Alexander the Great was already a great leader. Although, of course, even Alexander the Great wasn't flying jets because they hadn't been invented. After that, the grown-ups had to go and see a doctor for finger pricks and blood pressure. Mr. Digby, the doctor said when it was my turn. You seem to have the metabolism of a 12-year-old. You'll have to tell us your secret. And she winked at me. Mr. Martinet was next in line. He said, I believe he has the brain of a 12-year-old too. When the plane lost control, the man just started to start a game of Tig. The pilot lost control of the plane, said the doctor. I heard it all went very smoothly. All right, they have to say that, said Monsieur Martinet, for insurance purposes. Florida was waiting for me when I came out of the doctor's room, which is a bit unusual because usually she just gravitates to the nearest TV. She was still radioactive pink and worryingly smiley. She said, how did that happen? What? How did we just start floating around like that? She was being so nice. My game skills told me to suspect a trap, but I couldn't enjoy her treating me like this. So I started explaining about the Earth having gravity, which helps you keep you on the ground, and how that if you go away from Earth, you get less gravity. Yeah, but what is gravity? I mean, how does it work? Well, all objects exert gravity, and big objects like planets, they have enough gravity to pull things towards them, like the Earth attracts the moon, and the moon attracts the sea. What are you talking about? The moon attracts the sea. I tried to explain tides and stuff to her, but the more I tried to explain it how it worked, the more I realised I don't really know. Liam, she said, you don't really know, do you? No. We'll go on Wikipedia tonight and find out. Do you know that Celebrity Dental Check's on the telly tonight though? Oh, we can skip that one. It's the one with Tom Cruise where they find out his teeth are completely false, like he couldn't tell already. I was sure I was going to get all the votes. After all, I was the only grown-up who actually liked being weightless. I got one vote. In fact, everyone got one vote again. I said to Florida, what's the point of voting? Who's ever going to vote against their own dad? Except when someone pays them not to, with ice cream. Well, I voted against you, said Florida. What? Again? Why? You said you were going to help me. Well, I voted for Monsieur Martinet. You? What? Why? He was scared. He passed up. He passed out on the runway. He threw up. I know. Wasn't that great? Current scores. Eddie Xanadu 6, Monsieur Martinet 2, Samson 1-2, Liam 2. Astro gossip. That evening, Florida really did spend lots of time on Wikipedia trying to find out more about gravity and space travel. She looked on all the right pages, but she has a brain that turns everything into daytime TV, so she accidentally invented a whole new field of knowledge, astro gossip. She says some stuff like, Valentina Tereshkova was the first woman in space on Vostok 6, and guess what? She married another spaceman. You mean astronaut? No, cosmonaut, she's Russian. And they had a little space baby. How cute is that? A cosmonautette. I sort of preferred it when she was talking about Britney Spears' ghost dog. Cheers.